Welcome to your Venus in Scorpio transit talk report, or snapshot transit report rather. This is the Peace Dealer, and let's see what this glorious Venus return will serve for you. All right. Just certain reflections. We know that you were born right after, or maybe, oh, yeah. Okay. So you were born after Venus conjuncted the sun in Libra. So it activated the cycle. Then Venus went into Scorpio and the sun went into Scorpio. So it's good to know that the quality of your Venus being a Hesperus Venus, in that it's after the sun, is activated from the conscious power of your spirit. All right. It's just good to know. Mercury as well, right? So it's an activated Venus, right? Another thing to keep in mind is, of course, Venus has gone over your sun. So as you can see, if we just look really quickly, we're going to see the transit of Venus occur within Libra season. So it's going to have reached Sagittarius before Libra season ends. It reaches the second decan right before the sun has the new moon. We see it reaches the second decan post new moon, right? And then boom, by the time Venus is ready to leave Scorpio, as we can see, we will have had the full moon in Aries. Okay, boom, 24 degrees, 29 degrees. So as of now, the moon is in Cancer. Okay, if we can actually see right now, the moon is in Cancer, right? It entered while it was in Gemini. And so I just wanted to reinforce that real quick. By the time we finish this transit, we will have gone from moon in Cancer to moon in Aries, full moon. Okay, we're going from third quarter square, 270 degrees, to 0 degrees, to 90 degrees, to, of course, 180 degrees. Okay, so the way that looks like in your chart, this is an entire 12th house adventure, as Venus will, of course, be polishing the wisdom and purity of your first house, your embodiment. And thankfully, since it's transiting your sun, you're going to be directly aware of this. Okay, so that was very important to kind of put into context, knowing that the sun will be transiting your 12th house, releasing unconscious habits and behaviors around your relationships with others, as the eclipse is going to unlock what we activated April of 2024. And before that, October of 2023, which unlocked these unconscious habits. And then in April, you redefined an original habitual pattern, right? Relative to, well, now that we released this 2023, this is going to be the authentic lifestyle I'm destined to live. And since April of 2024, boom, you've come back around to redefine now what your unconscious habits are now that you've aligned this new path you're meant to walk down, right? And what relationships support or not. So it's important to know that this is what the sun's awareness is going to draw you through. This is going to be your 12th house transit before you have your solar return. And while you are resituating the definition of your routine and behavior as it applies to your relationships with other people, you are polishing everything you deeply love about yourself. Because now once we finish this, of course, in releasing these unconscious habits and defining a brand new self-concept of belief, boom, the sun will now apply all of these actions, and you will be aware of how much purer and stronger you have become. And by the time we come through Scorpio season, Venus, your heart, has polished all of this. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is that if we look like 6 months ago from Scorpio season, where was Venus? Venus was with Uranus and the sun and Jupiter. Venus had later conjuncted Jupiter in Gemini, but this was one of the most important conjunctions of the year while Mars was on the North Node. And where was that? In your 7th house. So we also want to take into account that one of the most innovative and expansive cycles we've activated spoke towards the unconventional evolution of the value of your partnerships. It was amazing fulfillment since the year prior, and that May represented a brand new cycle of leveling up the quality of your partnerships and how much more unconventionally and innovative you bring value into partnerships. So everything since May is harvesting during the Scorpio too. So we can look at it as just Venus going through your first, but realistically, this is the fulfillment of what you had polished relative to your dealing with other people. So now you're harvesting this transformation of your own wisdom of self and purity as pure queen relative to the grounded quality that you have harvested since May. All right, the value that you've brought others at this stage is now going to transform how much purer you are. So that I feel is going to have you embody the shifts in relationships you will continue to experience as, of course, this eclipse is aligning routines and lifestyles that are authentic to you to situate partnerships and relationships platonically and romantically or in whatever context to align with this sense of your behavior as you're transforming your personality. So that's another key feature. The moon, of course, will start here in Cancer, be new in your 12th, of course, have that first quarter square to your third, and then be full in Aries as Venus reaches the end of Scorpio, having you feel, of course, how you have unlocked authenticity in your lifestyle to now release old beliefs around how you relate with others with these behaviors, or how you really trust or believe in others who honor your lifestyle, your routine, your behavior, who hold you back, who actually push you forward. And it also doesn't hurt that Jupiter, as of now, at 20 degrees, is quite literally on your healing communication, your angelic Chiron of healing communication. All right. So that adds so much more to that, as it's opposite Uranus. And after Venus is in Scorpio, we'll go into Sag, oppose this, then the Sun will with Mercury retrograding your second. So this is going to reevaluate the meaning of your finances and the authority with Saturn that you have locked down here. And before we do that, it's going to, of course, polish everything that you love about yourself and reinforce the strength of the wisdom you represent. So because this is in the first, once again, it's really going to mark through a return of how you assess how much you've transformed and grown. And that's why we have to bring into account, you did have Jupiter, Uranus you had Uranus opposing you since 2018. Sheesh. And then Jupiter since like 2022 to 2023. So that was a major transit. And now this is the aftermath of how much this growth of the value of partnerships has increased your quality. And you will be aware of how everything you are polishing around the quality of your own self adds to your attractiveness, adds to your allure, adds to how much more people want in and are attracted to you. And because if we look, Venus is now second house to the Sun. And to give you an idea of that, let's go back in time, right? At some point, Venus was behind the Sun, remember, as we saw it here. So I want to show you where it caught up, right? We do see that Venus at some point did conjunct the Sun in Gemini, right? So that was when it had its 0 degree activation. So from 0 degrees of activation in Gemini, now it is made 30 degrees, right? Venus has reached 30 degrees of manifestation. So the quality of Venus here is it's beginning to manifest the quality of wisdom of our social awareness of power. And now this manifesting quality of Venus is manifesting wisdom that you're embodying in your first house. So of course, that first decade, we're going to see it go through your sun to Pluto, right? This is what's going to set up the new moon. By the time it reaches this Plutonian aspect, we're in the balsamic phase coming, and boom, it's in your rising. And so by the time it's actually kicking off the eclipse, we're in the second decan here, 11 degrees. This is now in range for your actual Venus return. We'll see Venus trining your moon in Jupiter. So this will now, of course, after, stirring up the waters to reinitiate, boom. Now in the subdecan of Neptune, you're feeling this abundance of sincerity and alignment emotionally, which will recenter your heart and resituate, how much you value yourself. Of course, we know that you've progressed your rising past Scorpio. So this may be your progressed 12th house, that you're transcending how much more you believe in your own wisdom. But regardless, this is definitely going to spice things up as we activate this cycle in your 12th. And then, of course, we will have the proper 18-degree return, but not before October 5th. We have the moon in your first. It's going to be a very important day right before, because it's going to trine your moon. And then it's going to help you understand the quality of Venusian energy and wisdom you are manifesting on your personality. All right, as we've activated this cycle. So this is what's going to have you actually really feel this manifestation process. Feel how you are literally polishing yourself through this Venus. All right, this understanding will make more sense to you because you actually were born with Venus in Scorpio, and it's going to feel like you're just getting back in the groove, restarting this first house cycle. And that's the most important thing to think about too. We want to keep in mind that this is happening while you're closing out the previous cycle you started in November. Remember, every November, right, every late October, when the sun goes into your first house, you're restarting this brand new 360-degree cycle, right? And it coincides with your sun too. We always do the rising, and let's say you had your sun in Pisces, we would look here and in Pisces season. But for you, you decided, nah, I'm pure wisdom this lifetime. I'm literally the holy purity. So now every Scorpio season resets for you. Boom, boom, it's your debut. So you're polishing this ahead of time while you're, of course, finishing the last chapter that you started late October of 2023 to, of course, 2024. All right. So think of that as you are concluding and reviewing everything you've accomplished since last year, so that once we step back into your birthday, you are beginning to polish your value with Venus and Sag. And that's where we're going to have the return while the moon is in Sagittarius. So you begin to understand the meaning of your value as you have now returned to this next cycle of what love and value is meant to be like with and for you. And that, of course, is going to draw us into the first quarter square, 90 degrees, third decade, which, of course, is going to be in between your Mercury and your Venus. And that will lead into the full moon, where we will end this transit at the final decade. As Venus now trines Neptune and Saturn here, it's going to reinforce this integrity of creativity with Saturn in your fifth, and the just mastery of imagination that will really stimulate and make more creative how you take the energy and wisdom of your heart and creatively express it. And of course, your own soul will help you feel the higher understanding of where to direct all that creativity. So that, in a nutshell, is a succinct mathematical interpretation of how this transit is going to play out for you. I'm very grateful that you have invested in this, and I look forward to your feedback. All right, as you are really just reminded of how much you've grown since March and May, and everything there is to love about how pure you are. All right, you stay blessed as always. I hope you enjoy this eclipse cycle, and until next time, peace.